Hey, everybody. Welcome into the SPYPOINT Podcast. Trent Marsh here. Another episode of the SPYPOINT Podcast, this time joined by Ralph, Vicki, and RJ, who need no further introduction for most of you. Of course, remind everybody, rate, review, subscribe wherever you're consuming podcasts. But we're just going to go ahead and dive right in and talk to Ralph, Vicki, and RJ because they're some of my favorite people in the industry to talk to. So right off the bat, for the 6 people listening that don't know Ralph, Vicki, and RJ, why don't you guys introduce yourself a little bit and we'll get into it.
Well, hey Trent, thanks for having us. Who are we? We're pretty simple. Ralph and Vicki, and then RJ. You know, he came a little later, thank God. And we've been blessed to live in this industry forever. I opened up an archery shop in the early 80s. Before then, I worked for all the archery shops during high school and, you know, getting out. Turned around, we're very fortunate, started filming in the 80s, making hunting videos. From there into the 90s, Vicki and I.
Not to cut you off, but like that would have actually been with film.
Yeah,
in the 80s.
Right?
Yeah, thanks, pal.
I can say that because my first trail camera was a film 35 millimeter.
Yes.
So
you know, like I've run to Walmart and
there's enough gray in the beard that I remember actual film and audio cassettes and crazy historical things like those.
Go back a hair further too is when we used to run the bear camps and the bear baits that we didn't have cameras yet.
No.
So we end up using those string timers and you tie it to a log and let the bear move the log. And that's how you figured out what was going on at what time. You didn't know what it was, but something moved the
Something moved the string.
Yeah. So
sorry, I had to jump in. Deepest apologies, but I had to jump in.
Listen. Yeah. So
you really are old, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. This gray is gray. Nothing I can do about it.
It's well earned. It's well earned.
Oh yeah.
Seasoned.
So you know, I started doing hunting videos, and then from there, Vicki and I actually introduced like the first couples hunting videos. You know, back then, and then it went into DVDs, and then from DVDs it went into, you know, something started called the Outdoor Channel. And, you know, we sent in a pilot, didn't know anything about TV whatsoever.
We weren't even going to plan on sending anything in. And we had some friends who were like, no, you guys got to try this Outdoor Channel thing. You guys would be great on there.
So we did it. It was accepted. And the rest is history. We're going on 22 years.
This is our 22nd year on the Outdoor Channel with Archer's Choice. And it's the 17th year of the Choice TV show. On Outdoor Channel.
We've been blessed, you know, to travel the world. We've won all kinds of awards, but it wasn't because of us. It was just because we were trying to keep it real, you know, trying to entertain people. And our goal from day one was always we wanted a hunting show that the family would sit down and watch. Because, you know, mom is with the kids more than dad was and still is most occasions. And, you know, if mom accepts it, guess what? We have an opportunity for those kids to come up and live this lifestyle. So, you know, that's what it's done. And now we got the big Luke here, you know, living the lifestyle with us.
Trying to learn.
And he grew up on TV with us. So, I mean, the first year Archer's Choice aired was 2001 in April, and he was born in January 2001. So he just turned 21.
So now even I feel old because of how that lines up with when I graduated high school and all that kind of stuff. So now I can safely call RJ a punk kid and feel like I earned it. And
there you go.
That 3 against 1 now, RJ. Sorry about your luck.
We need your help, kid.
Yeah,
we need your help, buddy.
Understandable.
It's a monster.
Cool. That's awesome. And it's one of those things that I think, you know, again, most people listening have an idea of who you are, but you know, having been around the industry for a long time, kind of what you touched on and the word that always comes up with when we talk to folks and you come up in conversation is authentic. And that's, you know, that's an important, anybody can be a carnival barker. That's easy. And I don't think
there's
that's
a lot
really,
of today.
I don't think that's really ever been the case. And I think that's why, again, talk about the longevity. So many people come and go in this industry, but the longevity in the industry, you can't fake your way through 30 plus years of doing it in one way, shape, form, or another. So definitely a testament to the brand that you've built and the image that you've created. And having known you for a few years, it's definitely, it's not an act. The Ralph and Vicki that people see is the Ralph and Vicki that exists. And I think that's comforting, especially these days where so much of it is curated and the way social is blown up, like feeling like somebody and then having that kind of rewarded, like when you actually meet them and go, oh, okay, there's no letdown there. Because there's, or
maybe there is. Oh my God.
that went exactly as poorly as I expected it. That's the Trent Marsh response. Oh yeah, this guy, great. No, that's awesome. So as much as things haven't changed, there has been a big change here in the last year or so for you guys. And for those that haven't paid attention to that, what's been the big change for you guys this year?
So we decided last year to pack up all of our belongings, us, him, Ralph's mom, the company, a couple other employees, and we moved from Northwestern Illinois to Trinidad, Colorado. 16 hours one way.
Yeah.
Many, many trips back and
many
forth.
trips.
And so happy to be out of the state of Illinois. Just saying. Just
right.
gonna put it out there.
Right.
Born and raised Flatlanders. Absolutely love Colorado. It's beautiful. We have mountains and
took a little while to get used to the thinner air.
Yeah. The elevation's a little rough.
Yes.
We used to be at like 900 feet elevation in Illinois, and now we're 7,600 where our house sits right now. Just a little bit. Just a little. But absolutely love it out here. I mean, this is a dream come true.
It's crazy to think we'd ever, we'd have an opportunity to have elk, black bear, mule deer, Merriam turkeys, mountain lion, bobcats, coyotes, all coming through our yard. Yeah.
And we have photos of them all, just so you know.
I've seen
points.
Yeah, you were quick. You were quick to start rubbing in the text messages with, look what was just in the driveway. I got plenty of those.
Just wanted to send them to you Flatlanders.
The fact that I didn't respond was, we won't cover the thought process behind that. But I was smiling for you, I promise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll bet.
Going past our garage.
Yeah. Perfect. So how many trips just for the taxidermy from Illinois to Colorado? You just loaded up the Tahoe, right? Like one trip.
Here's what
taxidermy is probably 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, we had Shane.
Shane helped us.
Counting Shane.
Counting Shane. Shane took 2 full loads in his trailers, 30 or 40.
Trophy haulers, yeah.
Trophy haulers, 30 feet, 40 feet.
40-foot trailers.
And that was with a bunch of the mounts in there. And then
saved us a lot.
We love Shane. Thank you. But then we had every U-Haul trip. Honestly, we used 4 or 5 U-Haul, 26-foot U-Hauls.
Yeah.
RJ's really perfected his driving those bigger trucks.
In fact, if anyone needs moving help,
he's
that guy.
Right. I should just go get my CDL.
So of the 3 of you, which is the Tetris champion, who gets that trailer packed the tightest?
Ralph.
Nice.
100%.
That's that dad vibe. Like, that's vacation. We took the first vacation with the boys last summer and piled in, went to Florida for a week, and Melody and I always traveled, and that was great, but then it's a whole new level of snacks and beach toys and all the things. So you stand at the back of the Highlander, and it's there's 812 cubic inches right here for
yes. Stuff it, baby.
And it's almost like a savant moment when it kicks in and you need it. Like, it's just that there's something in the Neanderthal part of the brain that kicks in and makes everything drop into place.
And you know where it is. You know where it is.
Exactly. I need Roman's blue sweatpants so that we can change, because it just got, and not only which suitcase, how many down in there they are, and one exactly. You don't even have to take everything out. You just snake your arm down in there. You don't look. and by the time the gas tank's full again, you have found exactly what was needed.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And we knew that Kearney was 8 hours, which was halfway across.
Mhm.
So she stopped somewhere, depending on what time we started in the morning. It was somewhere there. After the first trip, I think we realized what we need to do is you pack yourself an overnight bag so you don't have to unload everything to get clean underwear out for the next morning.
Yep.
It's just something that you do. And every time RJ and I would try to pack a truck up, if Ralph was busy doing something, might as well not. So we just sat back after the first time.
Just wait.
We didn't do it right.
We'd pack it wrong, so it all
yeah,
came back out.
it all
Just
came
about-
back out.
Or if you really want to be a man, you don't need clean underwear. You just, turn them inside
power
out.
through.
I mean,
You
that's
just
it.
power through.
All you do is
That's
sit
right.
all
So
day,
do you see
so-
my
Yeah.
problem here? Do you feel my pain now? I mean,
I'm well acquainted with your issues.
I'm sure Melody.
We've known each other long enough that I'm well
Yeah.
acquainted with your issues, and frankly, one of the problems is that sometimes I identify with Ralph. So
There you go.
we smile and nod and move on down the road.
That's it, buddy.
Exactly.
The nice thing is though, like, I mean, going from Northern Illinois to Colorado driving 26-foot U-Hauls, that's not a windy drive at all. So you don't have to fight the wind driving those.
not
That's a
Iowa.
notoriously calm,
yeah.
very easy. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
No.
Good.
We could tell you about the time when they took the load. They had a 26-foot U-Haul, our
Oh.
20-foot trailer pulled by the 250 pickup truck. It was like the last load of stuff.
And we're taking
And-
Nani's
And
car as
we had
well.
we had Nani's Subaru that
My
had all of
grandma.
her plants in it. So Eddie was driving that, one of our guys. RJ and Aubrey were in the 26-foot U-Haul. Ralph is driving the 250, pulling the 20-foot trailer. Nani and I are still back in Illinois because we close on the houses the next day. They leaf spring blows in the trailer, right? Like Lincoln, Nebraska.
Mhm.
They get it off the road. It is pouring rain. I'm frantically trying to clean the house up in Illinois, call U-Haul, get them another 26-foot trailer somewhere close by.
So you can do a drop and hook on the side of the road.
Yeah.
They are in the parking lot of a gas station in pouring rain, unloading, including the gun safe, out of the 20-foot trailer
Mhm.
into a new U-Haul. Oh, it was.
Thank the Lord for dollies.
Yes.
That's what I have to say.
Mhm.
Can you say cluster beep?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
But we're here now.
It's-
It's all good.
yes. I thought of you because we moved the week of Thanksgiving, and we moved all of
How many?
like
How far?
8 miles.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I just thought about you.
and while I was doing my 8-mile move, I thought to myself, man, this is way easier and still sucks. So yeah, no
Yeah.
jealous, the end result, maybe a little jealous, the process, not even kind of sort of a little bit.
No.
So when did you end up being finally, like, when were you settled? All the trips done, everything, and you kind of unbolted the wheels from your back end and you were kind of home.
It was probably the end of June. By
Yeah,
the
end of
time,
June.
I mean, they took that last trip, but as I was cleaning out the house and we still had like another trip that RJ had to go grab
Mhm.
one more U-Haul,
Mhm.
just because
Mhm.
there's just so much. We lived there for 22 years.
I was gonna say, how long were you in the
So-
same location? And it's
and we actually-
amazing how quick you.
Oh yeah, and we
Just so
sold
everyone
almost all
knows-
of our furniture to the people that bought the house.
We are still living out of boxes. though.
Oh yeah,
We still are living out of boxes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
The boxes everywhere, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eventually.
What's that saying? If you haven't
Emptied your boxes
Empty
in
your
6
box
months
in
after
6
a move,
months?
you don't need it.
you don't need it. Well, get ready because we're gonna have a hell of a sale.
Just watch for the garage sale signs in Trinidad, Colorado,
Yes,
because
yeah,
there is
yeah.
going to be some fantastic
Oh
gear up for
my
sale.
God.
Uh-huh. You might want to Facebook Marketplace some of that stuff and
Probably
maybe,
should.
just pay for retirement off those boxes
Yes,
that are yet
yes.
unpacked, because yeah.
I just want to pay for the moving.
Thankfully,
Was-
we did it before gas
was-
prices got crazy too.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
that's no joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's definitely gotten. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
You could just about double it just in the
Yeah.
last year.
Right now,
Yeah.
we could, yeah.
Hard pass and no thanks on virtually all accounts, but definitely glad you guys were able to get moved and on to the next thing. And I'm going to ask, even though I don't, like, best decision ever, right? Like
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Leo's right here.
There
Yeah,
is
we have a dog trying to get in the screen. Leo.
I've shut mine out, so hopefully
yeah.
we keep the kids from engaging. But good. Glad to hear it. Glad everything went mostly well, aside from
It did.
Thank you.
the last one. That's great. There was some not as much fun in the last year also. Obviously we're touching base now, and we've talked quite a bit here in the last few weeks, but we weren't able to see you at the trade shows. Normally we see you at ATA and SHOT Show, and there were several reasons, but there was obviously a big one that I think a lot of your fans were probably already aware of. But you guys kind of get hit pretty hard with the COVID thing in your house. Right.
COVID is pretty bad. We I think all of us, you thought if you'd never dealt with it, you were like, it's just a bug. It ain't, but I'm going to tell you, it kicked our ass. I mean, it was, there's no doubt in my mind that, wow, it's something manufactured. That's for sure.
I brought it into the house. I usually take Ralph's mom, Nani. I usually take her in and out for like testing and doctor appointments. And I came back from Pueblo the one day on a Friday, and then Monday my throat started getting scratchy, and by Tuesday my nose is running, and we took a test. We were supposed to leave for muzzleloader season in Kentucky, and with a dear friend of ours who's right now going through cancer and chemo, so we always would test ourselves before we went, so we didn't bring COVID with them, and it comes back positive. And I kid you not, in the next couple of days I was knocked out. Went to the emergency room twice. Ralph went to the emergency room twice. Nani went to the emergency room once. She rocked through it better than he and I. And then out of all of us, I'm the one who is on like less everything. The one that just takes vitamins in the morning. Ended up with double bilateral pneumonia in my lungs, and was on oxygen from the middle of December until about 2 weeks ago at night. So yeah, feeling great now. Absolutely. You can take deep breaths, don't cough, don't hack. I mean, everything's good, but it was scary there for a while. I'm not going to lie. Woke up one morning and looked at myself in the mirror with the oxygen on my face, and swear to God, I saw my mom, and it really kind of freaked me out. I'm not going to lie. It was scary. And this one here, RJ, he had it a year ago, pretty bad. I mean, we still don't have all of our sense and smell or anything like that.
You were out here hunting, on a do-it-yourself mule deer hunt.
Yeah.
And
my buddy got it.
Yeah.
And we didn't get nearly as bad as you guys. We got it.
Yeah.
We lost our senses, our taste, our
well, you
smell.
have no sense.
You got the joke in before I could. I was let him finish his thought, but it was right there, so I had to take it.
You have to put it out there.
Well, long story short, this year my antibodies or whatever it was must have been just crazy, because I was helping them. I was here the entire time. They were sick, around them, hugging them still, everything else.
I never got it.
Nothing. I was perfectly fine. Even there are other employees that ended up getting it. Yeah. I was the only one without it. It's crazy.
But we were planning on doing the shows, and then that hit, and we were feeling better time for show wise.
Right.
But I had this little unit on the floor that I needed to take with me everywhere.
Oxygen.
So we were like, you know what, with us just getting over it, it's not really worth our health to even try it. So unfortunately, like you said, that's 2 years in the making that we haven't been to a trade show for ATA or SHOT. And I mean, we miss seeing everyone. We miss seeing all the new neat items, seeing the new little companies out there that have all these new things that now we have to wait. Yeah, new inventions, new products, and now we have to wait again. So it is, but we look forward to next year. Next year's going to rock.
Yes.
Well, like I said, I don't want to make it the COVID show, but I know there were a lot of people concerned about it, and it was a scary situation all the way around. And we'll part on. It's crazy how different it affects different people.
Yes.
Like I said, RJ got it, and it was what it was, and you guys got it way worse. And then, my grandfather got it, and he's literally the picture of the person you wouldn't want to get it, had on oxygen for years, like literally this is bad. And they moved him. He was recovering from another surgery, and he ended up testing positive. So he goes into isolation while he's in the rehab facility, and called to talk to him and said, well, how you doing? He goes, honestly, I wish I'd have got it a little worse. The only thing I ever had was I couldn't taste one crappy nursing home meal. And I couldn't taste lunch, but I could taste supper. So I wish it would have hung on a little bit longer. So I didn't have to taste the food. And never, that was it. That was his only, wow. You know, so it was.
Still can't smell right. I mean, right. You still have odd.
It just.
It's strange, and the people
everything is strange. The human body is strange, and it just. Yeah. I'm just glad you guys came through it the way that you did. And,
so are we. So are we.
So are we.
On to the next thing.
Thank God every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you're moved, even if the boxes are aren't unpacked. No big deal.
Not all.
We're end of February though, so we're kind of in take a breath mode, right? So what's on the immediate horizon? How are we moving forward with our calendar now that we're moved and everything is kind of sorted out?
Well, right now, because of, you know, a lot of your Western states, you know, applications. So we're trying to go through all about, you know, where we're applying, to figure out what we're doing, you know, for our schedule, just like any other hunter out there. You know, you do that. And then we've got, you know, we're filming all the new opens for the shows. And then we've got some other projects that we're introducing on, you know, on digital platforms, you know, for the future. So yeah, we've got, it hasn't slowed up. That's for sure. You know, and being sick and actually, you know, we thought if we didn't make the shows, you know, the trade shows, you know, we'd have more time to, you know, to do all this, but we were sick. So, you know, it literally shut us down.
Right.
But, you know, hey, we're catching up. We're slow but sure. We're that little caboose or that little engine that, you know, could.
Thinks it can.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Vicky's the engine. You're the caboose. But
wow.
In the morning,
wow.
Hey,
wait, you pulled the knife out of my back.
If you're going to make it that easy, you should have known it was coming. And frankly, I thought RJ was going to beat me to it. And I didn't want to miss out on that.
Does this work?
So, all right. So here's a question. You were talking about applications and stuff. We talked about just the sheer volume. Again, you guys have been, you were hunters before you ever started filming it.
Yes,
you've been filming and you've been doing TV for years. Like everybody has their bucket list stuff. Like all three of you, and RJ, obviously your list is a little bit longer yet still, just because you know you're the punk kid. But like, what's on the list? What have Ralph and Vicki not hunted and killed yet? That's like, I need this tag. Like, what is the one that you are really, you know, because you know how everybody that doesn't, you know, they just assume, well, you do this and you've done everything and you're just kind of keep making videos and whatever. But I'm sure there are still more than a few tags out there that you're like, this is my. So for all three of you, Ralph, Vicki, and RJ, what's the top of the gotta get this done list?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, we've done a lot of Alaska and Yukon. Ralph, I know that Ralph's bucket is a brown bear with his Hoyt.
Yeah.
Or polar bear.
I know that, or polar bear, but you can't bring them back.
Can't bring them back, so I don't, you know, do that.
It's one of those things.
I've shot brown bear. I've shot my biggest brown, you know, but it wasn't with my bow.
No, it was your muzzle.
So it was great. You know what I mean? Right. But I still have that urge. I still have that urge or that dream or that, you know, that yearning that I want to be behind that rock like Fred Bear was, and that, you know, big old brown bear just coming up the coast, and he just ate some salmon, and here I am, I come to full draw, and, you know, my heart's coming out of my chest, and you hold it for that second, you release, and you watch that arrow go right through, and the bear piles up 40 yards, and
I'd watch that. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I could walk away. I truly, you know, and I, you know, here's the big thing. To have him now, and, you know, Aubrey with, you know, his girlfriend, to have them hunting more with us means way more to me. It's just, I don't care what we do, as long as we're doing it together as a family.
Right,
man, it rocks my world.
And honestly, now that we've moved here to Colorado, you know, back in Illinois, one of our things was when we first moved out to Lanark, where we were living, was we shot our first deer on our property, you know, and that was huge.
It was so cool.
You know, I mean, I can't wait for us to take elk on our own land out here in Colorado.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be awesome. I mean, we have been blessed. We've traveled everywhere. We've done everything. okay, maybe not everything, but I mean, things with our bows, we always feel, I mean, we bleed bow hunting. We love gun hunting.
We love it all.
We love it all, but there's certain things like Ralph's brown bear. Like I would love to, I've taken a brown bear with a rifle, but I would love to take one with my bow. There's an adrenaline rush there.
Right.
We've been applying for Shiras moose.
Yep.
In all the Western states down here. I mean, we love our moose hunting, and I think that would be awesome to get that moose, because we don't have that moose. RJ, he's got a whole bucket list yet trying to get, you know, and we're working on it all, trying to get it. And you know, what's really funny is, RJ, what's the one thing that you're really interested in getting right now down in Texas?
Well, listen, I know their meat. I've heard their meat is phenomenal, and I'm not thinking
it's a Neil guy.
I think I always get mixed up with the Pierre David, but I know the Pierre David's
it's a deer.
The deer.
No, he wants a Neil
guy is like my dream right now.
It's just the thing. That's what you're eating.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, they're just a really neat animal, and I've heard that their meat is just
just
phenomenal.
Yeah.
What's really cool is him and Aubrey are really have gotten into cooking the wild game, but they want now they want to test all the different game that's out there. You know what I mean? So they're like, hey, we're cooking up antelope. You know, we're doing the rump roast, and we're like, cool. How's it taste? You know, and RJ, pretty sagey. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Pre-seasoned. You know.
Yeah.
Put my marketing hat on. That's just pre-seasoned.
And then the other thing is, like RJ just said too, he goes, it's kind of an expensive new cooking.
It can be an expensive little hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice.
Fun though.
See the different things in the world and experience just kind of how you can almost taste how they live through their meat in a way. Like with the cage of an animal.
Yeah.
Depending on where they live, you can see how what they eat and what they do affects how they taste. And it's just it's really cool to me.
Yeah, I mean, well, just whitetail's not whitetail, you know, northern, you know, I'm northern Indiana, you guys were northern Illinois. That's as close to corn fed as you're gonna get.
Corn, soybean, acorns, baby.
I always kind of laugh, and it's not that there's not some truth to it, but like I hunt because I like my free range organic meat. It's like, you know, that deer was eating a bunch of DeKalb soybeans and all kinds of GMO corn out in the field, right? Like he wasn't. That's not just oak leaves and acorns he was munching when you took him in Indiana or Illinois. I always kind of.
But you realize if you say organic, you could charge more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we are an organic family.
We're going to
charge more.
Noted.
What the hell?
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
No, that just like I said, there's always something else on the list. There's always something else you would like to do, or like you said, you know, you've taken a brown bear, but to go back and do it a different way or at a different location, and like you said too, then with being able to factor in Illinois whitetail is not the same as a Kentucky whitetail, is not the same as a Texas whitetail. Like there is no end to it. And what a better way to see the world than hunting and fishing all around it and doing all those cool things, so when you guys have always really kind of been heavy into like you've probably done more of the Canada stuff earlier than a lot of the other people that were getting into it, right? Like, because the way hunting TV and the whole kind of hunting influencer, dirty word, whatever, kind of came about, like everybody kind of had their own thing, but like you guys have been going to camp, if you mentioned the Yukon and stuff, and Alaska obviously isn't Canada, but like you guys were kind of one of the first ones doing some of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we were, we never focused just on deer, you know, and even me growing up, you know, I always had, you know, I wanted the wilderness. I wanted different things. Deer were in our backyard. So you know what I mean? And, you know, I never looked at wanting to be a whitetail expert. You know, I don't think there's experts in anything. I think, you know, every day we go out, we learn, and we learn from the best source in the world, the animals themselves. I mean, but to venture in different areas and locations and to understand and learn the anatomy of different game, you know, the bone structures, the hides being so much thicker, it allowed us to play with our equipment more too. You know, we're like, well, we don't have the energy, you know, for Cape Buffalo. So now what do I got to do? I got to get a different bow. I got to set it up, get more kinetic energy. I've got to design.
I have to go bow bow shopping.
Son of a
Darn.
gun.
I
hate
it when that happens.
Yeah. And you know, when we did it, it wasn't cool. Yeah.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And we've always loved the wilderness.
Yeah.
So we've always loved to be out there. And I mean,
right.
It does take a different thing. There's the adrenaline is different up there, but you're also responsible for yourself. When you're up there and you get flown into a camp and it's a wall tent and wood burning stove for the next
or a
10
nylon
days,
tent with no stove.
Right. You know, I mean, yeah, that's Alaska brown bear hunting for sure. But like even on the Yukon, you know, you got to be careful of the water and the rivers, and you're just out there. You're prey at that point. There's deer. There's bears out there.
Grizzlies.
There's grizzlies everywhere. The last couple of times we had gone up to the Yukon, the wolves were howling all day long. I mean, there's just so much out there that when you pick up your phone and use your internet, and you can't just call someone because you want to.
It's awesome.
And you're in the middle of nowhere. There's just something about that Ralph and I, we've always we've craved it. And now the last couple of years, we haven't had it, and we haven't been able to go to Canada for even just spring bear hunting because of other things going on. You know, we were kind of hoping we were going to be able to get there this year. Still doesn't look like we get to do that this year.
We'll see. Thank you, truckers.
But we'll see, because, you know, there's things that we'll do and things that we won't do. And so, you know, to keep it non-political. But what we, you know, eventually we'll be able to. Yeah, eventually we'll get back up there into those north.
You know, and we just want to put it out there that we feel so bad for a lot of these outfitters.
Oh, those outfitters.
You know, I mean, these people and these small little groceries, these small little bait shops, all of these things that are in these rural areas of North America, and that we have shut them down. And I mean, you know,
it's been great for all of our U.S. outfitters because they are inundated with everyone that wanted to travel.
That can't go anywhere else.
Right.
Exactly. You know, and the ones that have over the counter tags, we know that they're crazy busy. And now that you're into it almost a third year of whether or not people are going to be able to go, you know, other countries, we know, I mean, all of our friends that are outfitters, they're crazy here in the States. And then you have our friends that are up there in Canada and other countries, and they're just hurting so bad, you know, and after the first year, they're like, I don't know if I can do it again. And after the second year, you're just praying that
we hope they make it.
We hope they make it. You know, well, it's sad. It's hard.
We had Joe Henry on the podcast last summer. Joe does tourism for Lake of the Woods, which is they're on the Minnesota side, Baudette, Minnesota. They're in the northwest angle. But half of those resorts are on the Canada side.
Yeah.
And the U.S. resorts were doing, like, eventually, you know, by the time like ice season rolled around and things started to, you know, get back to something that approximated normal, they were doing okay. And Canada was still locked down, and they ended up opening up a legitimate ice road across the, you know, they kind of got some special dispensation because you couldn't get to the resorts going across the border, because you still had to go through a border check to get there. And they ended up, they got the ice road open on the lake and got some of those resorts able to cash in on some of that access to try to keep them afloat. But it was, I mean, just absolutely brutal for them. And then, especially when you factor in, you know, everybody's kind of heard that statistic about it's like 75% of Canada lives within 100 miles of the US border.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not where those outfitter locations are.
No.
And so many of those destinations rely on that travel income that comes in, you know, when mud season is over, you know, that kind of spring bear through the end of fall hunting seasons. And I don't feel like we've really heard a lot of those stories told yet about how bad and how much the impact is going to be. And even, you know, even in our own backyard, the number of restaurants that you know, just like the mom and pop restaurants that haven't made it through, you know, again, not to make it the COVID show, it's sad to see a lot of that stuff that's gone on. And, you know, it feels like it's starting to break, and maybe we're starting to get back to normal, but you know, even on the other side, normal is going to look a whole lot different just because of what it's going to be. So yeah, it's been it's been weird. And I know, right when everything first kicked off, we were talking about, kind of all the pivot we had to do, because so much of what you guys do relies on, especially like the spring bear thing and all that, that was kind of the first thing that you guys kind of got that gut punch on that side. So it's been, I'm sure it's been as weird for you guys as anything, just because of how much of that, of your kind of normal schedule that cut into that we're not going to see now for 2 or 3 years, just because we haven't been able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's
frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely frustrating. It's funny, Ralph, you touched on that you didn't want to be a deer expert, you didn't want to be a whitetail expert, and we've had the conversation before that, like, that's one of my red flag things anyway. The second somebody tells me they're an expert, we've laughed about this before, and talking to like my friends that don't necessarily work in the industry, and the very best hunters will generally tell you that if you sat in tree stands for 60 hours a week and traveled for 6 months out of the year, do you know what you'd do too? Kill big deer.
Amen.
It's not that complicated.
If you can control the pressure, if you have a lot of land that nobody else is hunting, I mean, there are so many variables, but the reality of it is if you can successfully go anywhere, and put the knowledge that you have of the game, of the woods. See, I don't think today, I don't believe there's no woodsmanship anymore.
Fieldcraft.
You know what I mean? There isn't, it's like, okay, there's my tree stand. I'm going to go sit it. I'm going to shoot a big animal. And then I'm going to jump in my truck and I'm going to go over here and shoot another one on the tree stand that I didn't even hang. I mean, they're missing it. I'd rather just shoot a nice buck, but put the stand up, put my cameras out. I'd rather do all that. And that's what we just did this past year. We went back to Illinois. A friend of ours, Dean, owns some land, and he let us just have carte blanche, and we set up our spy points. We did everything we would normally do. We spent 3 weeks, and we patterned deer, and we shot them. Mm-hmm. And there were deer that we patterned, and we got busted. You know what I mean? Whether the angle of where the deer were coming off the ridge, we were hunting, near the Mississippi River in northwestern Illinois, and they were coming from a high vantage point. So when they were coming down, visually they were looking right at the stand, at the hunters and the cameraman. So but we're showing all that this year. We're going to show just the Archer's Choice deer camp, and that's what we need to get back to.
Yeah.
I mean, here's what most people can't understand, can't even relate: to have 5 years relationship or, experiences with the same deer.
Right.
Most people don't have but a couple acres to hunt.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's contributed a lot to that. Some of the loss of those skills too, is because if you don't have, even 50 acres, things can change a lot on 50 acres, but so many guys anymore, especially around here, and Northern Illinois is a lot of the same way. Those 2 and 3 and 4 and 500 acre tracts of land are gone. Those don't exist anymore. They've been broken.
There's no hedgerows. There's nothing anymore.
Yeah, it's so you might be able to hunt 20 acres and 5 of its woods. Like you kind of just which tree's big enough to hold a stand and hopefully something walks by in bow range, and that's kind of what you're left with. And it definitely it's changed the way we've had to approach it. And obviously, technology has changed, and some of that for the good and some of it for the bad. But you can kind of draw that corollary to, if you always walk around with a supercomputer in your pocket, you don't think you ever actually have to remember anything. Mm-hmm. You have access to a lot of information. You don't necessarily have a lot of knowledge, and maybe that's a distinction without a difference. But I think sometimes we get too comfortable in knowing that, well, I can always just go Google it. I don't have to remember this, and I don't have to learn this skill because I can Google it. And
and when we used to a while back, gosh, in some of our seminars, we would get asked, they're like, well, how do you guys shoot, the deer you shoot every year? And like Ralph would tell them, like, listen, a lot of people don't own any land, period. Mm-hmm. They're public land hunters. And if they're still successful and they're able to get a deer every year or every other year, he tells me, he goes, listen, if you had private land, think of how successful you would be if you used all that public land knowledge
that
you knew that you could do with all the extra pressure and everything else on your deer. And then all of a sudden you have 100 acres or something like that. Think of the success you'd have.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's also genetics. If you're in an area that the genetics aren't there, it's going to be hard to shoot a big deer. It's just, that's what it is. But the knowledge that a lot of the public hunters get, if they had the opportunity for the private land, huh, Ralph?
Well, I mean, bottom line is opportunity. You know what I mean? And if you control the pressure, if you can control the amount of land, and you could have a core in the middle of that property, nobody's hunting but you.
Right.
And your spouses or your whatever.
Your family,
and friends.
Perfect situation makes for perfect outcomes.
Absolutely.
But we very few people have them.
That's right.
Yes. Right.
No.
So I mean, reality of it is just don't give up. No matter what you're hunting, make it an adventure. Take the kids out and go squirrel hunting. It can be truly an adventure. You know what I mean? Turkey season's coming up. Oh my gosh. Get those kids just to hear that. You know what I mean? And pound it. And
one more time. Do that one more time. I love it.
The whole laptop's like,
yeah. Now I'm ready for spring.
Yeah. just make every hunt an adventure. And you'd be amazed at how your bucket list, you don't have to go in search for a dull sheep or a bighorn ram. You know what I mean? Just keep it within your affordability. And I don't care what it is. I mean, I'll tell you what, one thing I really want to do? I want to go down to Florida. I do. With our gamos and shoot those lizards.
Yeah, the iguanas.
The iguanas. Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah. I think that would be so cool. You know what I mean?
Be a fun trip.
Everybody see me as beach time.
No. Yeah, that's it. That's the closest I want to get to a beach, right?
No, it's.
I mean, make it an adventure.
No, well, and so many people get caught up in what they see other people do. Yeah. Not just with hunting, just in general. So many people get caught up in what they see other people do, that they let that affect how they enjoy things. Which I hate that, especially for newer hunters coming in and the way that they perceive how a season has to go. And, even just how much I've seen deer hunting in Indiana move over the last 3 decades, and the expectations that come from, growing up, you'd hang around the deer check stations and somebody might bring in a 10-point deer.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's this big.
Yeah, a basket rack 10.
Yes.
Right.
And you'd see people legitimately excited about it. And now, if you didn't kill a 140 or better, somebody that did every year.
Yeah.
And it's great for the sport, and it's great for the management of the asset. But for the new hunter coming in, I had no fear or shame in taking whatever deer that I wanted to when I first got into it. And now the amount of pressure that we put on the people that are just coming into it, it's one of the favorite blogs that we've ever written was managing your expectations. Like you said, back before there were trail cameras, you couldn't have any expectations because all you knew was you walked around, you looked for tracks, you found the closest tree to where the tracks were, and you shoot whatever deer comes by that's legal. And that was gauged as a successful season. And now, if you don't have 4 years of trail camera photos, 3 years of sheds, and a 1,200 word story to go along with it, like, well, he probably needed one more year. I can't imagine trying to come in as a new hunter into this with that atmosphere going on, and then not having any basis with which to anchor that expectation. Even if you're running trail cameras, and I tell people this all the time, and I said, don't hunt trail camera photos, because we've all had it happen where that fantastic deer shows up in August. He lives 8 miles from here. He was just on a jaunt. Something weird happened. He walked by your camera, and now you're hunting that ghost, and you let the specter of that deer ruin the rest of your season. You pass 4 deer that you would have shot any other time if that deer wasn't on trail camera, because you're trying to reach this too often guys, I think, are hunting for someone other than themselves. And that's sad. I hate to see that. And some of that is the expectations that they're setting for themselves. And some of that is the expectations that they think other hunters are putting on them. And personally, I hate to see that.
And here's years ago, we saw the trend, we saw what was going on. Okay. Vicki and I are sitting there and we're speaking in front of thousands of people. And I'd get up on the stage and the first thing I would say, I said, you get introduced and you go, I got a question for y'all. I said, how many of you have a box or a closet or a trunk filled with spikes, 2 points, 3 points, 6 points, broken racks or whatever? You have it. And everybody's hand goes up. All the parents, all the, oh, yeah, I do. I said, then why are we telling these new hunters and these children not to do that? You see, you know what I mean? We need them to go out and hunt, fling those arrows, squeeze those triggers, get the experience, get that under your belt, get animals underneath your belt. And then as like anything, you progress. I remember RJ was, how old was he? Nine. This big galoop right here taught mom and dad a very valuable lesson. We're in Illinois on some of our.
This is you're going to tell the story that we did for the Insider magazine, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I only cut you off to tell you ahead of time that I got some great feedback from folks that got that magazine, that they loved that article, and I loved writing this story out with you guys. So before you go to tell it, I know the story that's coming, and I don't want anybody to walk away from the podcast, because if you have a friend or your own child that is showing interest in starting to get into or coming of age to hunt, and my oldest will be 5 this spring. I think we're going to try to do turkey hunting, and as I'm starting to make preparations and think about it, like my mind has gone back to this story that you're about to tell with RJ multiple times, because it's in my mind, it is the perfect representation of what we should be doing as stewards of hunting and promoters of hunting in general. So I'll let you tell the story now, but I had to preface it with, like, this is probably one of the best stories I've ever heard. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, buddy. And I mean, it's not us, it was him. We're
taught us a lesson.
He did. We're sitting in the ground blind, elevated ground blind, and we got deer starting to come out to our food plot. And we're sitting there, and RJ, he said, Dad, is that okay? And we're like, anything's good.
And Ralph is filming, and I'm helping RJ because he's 9, and he and I are sitting there, and it's shotgun season, and it's youth season. So go ahead, sorry.
So and I'm going to say it, this button buck comes out. And he comes out from our left and he starts to come through. And RJ's, we're like, are you on him? And he said, yeah. And all the excitement. Well, he walks, I'm filming. I got the camera on the sticks and I'm filming. And he walks now in between the windows. So I said, no. You know what I mean? Because I can't film it.
Right.
RJ looks at mom and dad and says, why does everything have to be filmed? Whoa. You want to talk about a kick in the gonads? Well, the reality of it is Vicki and I looked at each other, turned the camera off, let the camera purposely go down on the, and said, you take them when you want, buddy. That young man right here taught mom and dad a very valuable lesson. Let them hunt.
Right.
Let them experience it, and you need to share it. You don't need your damn phone. You don't need your camera.
It's not our experience.
It's not.
It's his.
Right.
And if we would have just kept doing it and filming it, he may not be sitting here next to us right now.
Yeah. He may not be taking over the business. You know what I mean? He may not be taking his wife, his girlfriend. whoa.
No pressure.
Yeah, hunting was there is no pressure. But to do that, and this is what taught us at such that early age of himself. Wow.
And he didn't even realize he was doing it.
No,
that was my
well, and the best lessons are never intentional.
No.
You're right. You just have to be man enough to realize it's a lesson.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I honestly can't think of a better place to wrap it up, and we've already taken more time than I wanted to of your day anyway. But we weren't able to do ATA and we weren't able to do SHOT, so the same thing. We would book an hour to talk there, and an hour and a half later we'd let you move on to the next thing. So we're just continuing the tradition of when Ralph and Vicki and RJ and Trent get together, it just book time and a half, because that's where it's going to end up, like it or not. So
yes, sir.
Appreciate you jumping on. Again, for those that don't know where to find you, just where on social, where on TV, where on the World Wide Web, you guys are doing pretty much every multimedia aspect that you possibly could. I'm sure RJ is dragging you kicking and screaming away from all the film and
Oh yeah.
So what are all those locations, and where can they find you?
So the first one is our website is archerschoicemedia.com. It's the easiest way to find out the rest of our stuff. All of our social media is at Ralph and Vicki, spelt out.
Simple.
We've got new things going on with the Choice Legacy, but everything, you'll be able to find all of it on our social media. We're still on the outdoor channel forever. 22nd year of Archer's Choice, 17th year of the Choice. Prime time is Sunday at noon Easterns, but we do air 4 or 5 times a week. So you just have to.
And all throughout Canada and everywhere else.
All the way all through Canada and My Outdoor TV. You can
Waypoint.
You can watch all the episodes back to 2009, I think, on My Outdoor TV. So if you want to see how our hair changes and stuff like that over the years and we age, it's there.
And there was the throwback, to speak of social media, there was that throwback of Vicky's first buck just a few days ago on Instagram, and I've got my thumb rolling, and I see the permed hair out from under the
it's
ball.
naturally curly. This is straightened.
She is Chewbacca in the morning.
It was magic. It was pure magic. I wanted to go put on some Def Leppard and just go back to those days.
I have perfect 80s hair naturally. This is straightened every morning when I wake up, and my hair is curlier than, like, Ralph and RJ have always called me Chewbacca. I mean, it's just.
And my hair is perfect every day.
Every day. Can't
every
miss
day.
it.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring the big hair back.
Do it. Hey, everything old is new again. Everything old is new again. Get those bangs up there, Vicki. Let's do it. Let's go.
You, we can do this. We got the Aquanet right in the door. We can use it.
Well, it was great catching up with you. Appreciate you jumping on again. For those of you listening, rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast. You can follow SPYPOINT on all social media, and of course, go find Ralph and Vicki and RJ and stay up with the latest from them. Thank you so much for joining us.
God bless you.
Thanks, you guys.
Have a good
Take
one.
care.